us together in terms of common struggles, our police brutality, the support for immigrants' rights, against the budget cuts, issues regarding women, healthcare, the Retinas, and our first speaker, Julia Wallace, has been very active with the South Central Neighborhood Council in getting the Retinas, or the sobriety checkpoints laws, actually changed in collection with other activists and community. That's one of the more recent successes. But she's also been involved with tenants' rights, immigrants' rights, done social work, healthcare. She's in so many different forms in addition to the occupation. And really that's the subject of our first speaker, is the occupation in Los Angeles and a way to move forward that emphasizes worker rights. So, Julia.
Well, thank you for coming and braving the cold and Monday. I'm a member of Struggles United Luchas Unidas. We're an organization, and a comrade are going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we stand for. So we called this meeting together to talk about which way forward for the occupation movement. For many people in this country, around the world, this has been like water in the desert. The fact that people are coming out in the millions all over the country. Every single major city has an occupation set up somewhere. The fact that these places are centers of political discussion and debate, even the ones that have a different kind of apolitical character, inevitably have a political character by the fact of camping out in front of City Hall or camping out in front of Wall Street, and are really generally taking an anti-corporate stand. And in that sense, we can be really, happy about that, because it's opened the door for many other currents of political ideas that otherwise didn't have a voice, that otherwise wouldn't have a platform to be able to put forward their ideas. It's also a response to the capitalist crisis. It was obvious to most people that the bailouts that both presidential candidates, McCain and Obama, and afterwards the Obama administration, both of them supported the bailouts and the trillions of dollars. The $700 billion was not anything in comparison to the other billions of dollars that these banks and financial centers received. And so it's important for us to realize that this anger that has been seething with people about the banks, about corporations being able to control the political system, that these things are being upwelled in this occupation movement. And at the same time, there's limitations to the occupation movement. There's limitations and problems that could be foreseen that would actually undermine and destroy the independent spirit of the occupation, that could undermine and destroy that movement and lead it back into the system. So, I wanted to start off by saying that we support it. It's an inspiring time for us to see people in the United States, the juggernaut of world imperialism, to see people rising up. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are kind of the basics of the occupation movement. In general, it's people who have gotten together, most of them knowing each other previously, and forming these different occupations. There's ones in Los Angeles. The one in Los Angeles is the biggest, and then there's Occupy Southgate, Occupy Long Beach, Occupy San Fernando Valley. These are smaller ones, but they're all being formed by people who kind of maybe knew each other a little bit. I'll get into that one. Okay. Occupy the Hood doesn't have a geographical space, but it is representative of that. The demographics in general of the occupation movement have been mostly white, unemployed youth, many coming from professional sectors. This is from Occupy Wall Street to Occupy Oakland. And there's no central demands of the movement. There's kind of senses that people can say they have, right? That one is getting money out of politics. What does that mean? Some people think it means campaign finance reform. Some people think that it means that the banks need to pay more taxes, things like that. And corporate control over people's lives, the foreclosures, people losing their homes. Many of these people thought, are kind of disenfranchised people. They thought the American dream would save them. They thought, I have a home, this is what you try to do. Many people, this is how they see themselves as Americans, is trying to get a home. And the capitalist crisis dashed all of these illusions that people had. That if you work hard, you can get ahead. It completely destroyed that illusion. And then what's developed in changes in the movement. Occupy the Hood, which started, I think, in Chicago or Philadelphia. It was one of them. It started off as a response to people of color feeling like, on the one hand, they're in solidarity with the occupation movement. On the other hand, their perspectives and ideas aren't being addressed by the occupation movement. Especially in Los Angeles, where in general, the unofficial leadership, shall we say, has been putting forward a pro-LAPD perspective, or we have to thank LAPD for not being so brutal against us, has alienated many people whose daily existence has been based on police brutality, or people who through their political activism have had experiences with the police. It's alienated those people. Issues of police brutality have been incredibly intense. It's happened in all major cities with the exception of Los Angeles. And it's happened regardless of party affiliation. Mayor Kwan, who's Asian and who's a member of the Democratic Party.
And who was a Marxist when she was in college. That's the crazy part about it.
Right, many of these administrations, they're not really, many of those people who are Democrats now used to consider themselves members of Marxist groups, political groups, set a lot of revolutionary ideology. These people, the Democrats, she ordered the raid on the Oakland Park. She ordered that, and she's a Democrat.
Well, she was out of town. She was in D.C.
When Vera also ordered the attacks on people in MacArthur Park in 2007, he was also convening at the time. Mayor Hancock of Denver, the second African American mayor of Denver, ordered the attacks on the Denver occupation as well. So it's important for us to see that these things are regardless of party affiliation. So then why would they be so brutal against people? Aren't the police racist? Why are they beating up all these middle-class white kids? Well, there's a reason. The reason is because the police, although are racist and maintain the status quo, which is racist, have a duty to maintain capital. That's how they're formed, that's what they're paid for, to protect it, to defend it. That's why you never see billionaires get pepper sprayed or shot with rubber bullets. It doesn't happen. They don't execute raids on their homes. They don't do that. For us, though, they do it. And so the attacks that have been happening against people of the occupation movement are political attacks. They're political attacks because they're protesting against the banks and corporations. Even with varying shades of liberal to Ron Paul kind of hodgepodge kind of perspectives, they're attacking people because of where they are, because the threat of them even being there is an intimidation to the capitalism. And so let's talk about how we can move forward in that. How can we move forward from these protests that have some vague demands that are anti-corporate, anti-bank, and how can we move this forward, and what are the obstacles to that? The obstacles to that mainly have been same obstacles to many of the other history of social movements that we've seen, and these are the operatives of the Democratic Party. That's probably the first main obstacle that we've had. The Democratic Party is run and controlled by the wealthy and the powerful. There's no mistake about that. There's been a Goldman Sachs merger switcher from the Obama administration to Goldman Sachs. People who work for the Obama administration have gone to Goldman Sachs. People who work for Goldman Sachs are now part of the Obama administration, for example. And so it's important to see these rulers of capital are participating in the government. And these are the people that are attacking us. In particular in Los Angeles, the leaders of the people who formed Occupy LA and the leaders of that are connected particularly to the leadership of the LA County Federation of Labor and the Democratic Party. This is the reason why you see the perspective of why we've had so many unions called out and supporting us, because LA County Federation of Labor